Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Edge of Now podcast, episode 2. Dose.
2 and 2. Do you remember who used to do that?
No.
Chuck Woolery.
Woolery? Oh, mind reading.
I have no idea where I pulled that from.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people listening. They have no idea what we're talking about. So anyway, welcome back to the podcast. So excited that you guys are here. Thank you for all the great feedback from episode 1. Appreciate you sharing the podcast. Appreciate you reposting it on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, X, Threads, TikTok.
Whatever's new.
Anything I'm missing, Jess?
No, you've exceeded what I am even using.
All of the things you consume, right?
Yes.
Anyway, appreciate you sharing. It's what helps grow. And we got some amazing feedback and even some great questions that we're going to get into discussing this week and then in future episodes. But let's start by how was your weekend?
My weekend was amazing. I did something for the first time, Jason. The very first. I think I might have been the only.
I thought we had everything checked as something you've done before. There was actually something you hadn't done.
So I bet we have a few Rush fans in our listener base. I'm just guessing based on the demographic of Rush fans and based on the demographic of HR, IT, enterprise transformation professionals. I'm going to bet there's some good crossover. So the thing I did for the first time, just based on the fact that Rush has been making music for 50 years, I bet we have a few listeners. I went to my first Rush concert, Jason, and this is a very big deal because Rush is a living legend of a rock band. The fact that they're still performing their music, actually performing again because they did go off the road for about 10 years, and the fact that they're back out on tour for their 50-something tour, what a treat. And they were my first time seeing Rush live, and not many Rush fans can say that. Most Rush fans have seen them multiple times.
And did it live up to expectations?
Oh my God, absolutely. Absolutely, yes.
Awesome.
Even if you're not a fan of Rush, but you just like good music making and rock for that matter, what a treat. Yeah, it was super fun.
Very cool.
Yeah. And Rush fans are super hard on the fact that they had to find a new drummer, and they found this German woman, 43 years old, to take the place of a beloved, like a literal beloved OG member of their band. Not easy to be Annika Niles. And Rush fans are embracing her. They are rooting for her, and they are so happy with her. So that's pretty exciting.
So everyone ping Jess about Rush.
Yes, we can go on and on.
Now, Jess, that pause, that was when you were supposed to ask me about my weekend.
And I just kept going.
Instead, you just went right on to the drummer.
I kept thinking about Annika. I was so happy for her, watching her, knowing how much pressure.
You're still talking about you.
Woman.
It's all about you. You're still talking about you.
Okay, that was my weekend. Jason, I already know how was your weekend?
Jess, thank you for asking. My weekend was great. I spent the weekend with my 2 boys and one of their friends watching WWE SummerSlam. And I bet in our demographic of HR, IT, enterprise executives that there's some WWE fans out there.
Guaranteed.
Right?
They might be more elusive.
And you know what's really interesting? Just to add a little bit to beyond the WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, I actually, in the middle of a boring segment of this 9-10 hours I was at over the weekend, was trying to figure out what I liked about it. And I discovered there were 2 things. The first thing is I love storytelling. And all it is a big story. Like a ongoing, like every single week story. And some of the stories get old and some of them are like feel like I've heard this before, but the storytelling is amazing. And the other thing that I think is so fascinating is that any one person can command a stadium of 70,000 people. And I think it's both like the Rush thing and this.
Absolutely.
Is that there's one person or a group of people, small group, that can all of a sudden get 70,000 people captivated or doing a skull chant or holding up one finger. I'm like, that is amazing power.
Yeah.
And it's so performative that I think that's what I love about it.
One of my I've done storytelling workshops, believe it or not, and I had to do a little thought around what are the mechanisms of storytelling? Like there is an art and a science, and what you just described is one of my favorite toolkits to teach the art of storytelling, and that's the hero's journey. We won't go into it right now, but the simplest way you can think about the art of a story starts with a journey, a tragedy or a moment, something that happened, and then the hero's journey, and then obviously the outcome. And there's like more that can go into that. But what you just described is the classic example of the hero's journey and what we love about it.
I'm gonna have to take your workshop sometime, I think.
Yes.
So really quick, let's jump right in. It's been a busy week, and we have 3 topics that we're going to talk about, one in more depth than the other 2 from a signal standpoint, as we've talked about the format of the show. And the 3 signals this week, the first one is going to be really sexy. Token maxing. What does that do for you, Jess? Token maxing.
Yes.
The second one, even sexier, data privacy.
I actually think that's an incredibly sexy topic. I think it is going to be the topic of yes.
And
we'll
the third one, voice.
Oh,
So that's what we're going to do. So let's start with token maxing. So recording today from an event that I'm leading with a group of executives, teaching them something that we talked about last week on the episode about how to use AI as an effective, efficient, and excellent partner. Okay, so I'm actually doing a tickle the keyboard. Is that a thing? Tickle the keyboard, not tickle the ivories. Tickle the keyboard session with 300 people. And one of the things that's coming up over and over in organizations that I think is so fascinating is this concept of we're running out of tokens, or tokens are so expensive. And we're finding that out of one side of our mouth, we're talking about experiment, play around, try things. It's the only way to learn. And on the other side of our mouth, we're like, whoa, we're out of tokens. This is expensive. Things like that. And what that means is that we've got this, I think what it means, I'd love your thoughts. We have this amazingly powerful car that we can, and I don't know if it's the right analogy, car, tool, you're a motorcycle rider, motorcycle, whatever it is. Are you a motorcycle rider?
A motorcycle fan.
Motorcycle fan. But like we've got this amazing power. But we really have to think about and be educated as to how to use it. And I know that's going to get into data privacy and voice also, but this concept of we have to help people understand how to use tools. Okay, let's pretend we got through all the rest of the stuff, the promise, the trust, the, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's not going to take my job. It's an exponential. Let's say we got through all that, which is a whole lot to get through already. Yep. Now it's like, okay, how do we use this in the most effective, efficient way?
Who and how? Yeah, I think that's a great topic.
Who? Yes, exactly.
One clients that I'm a little bit more, one of our clients that I'm pretty hands-on with a little bit more than you right now, also doesn't want to make everyone an expert. There isn't the trade-off, like there isn't enough trade-off, like the time that it would take, the investment it would take to make everybody a power user and an expert tool user and get them fully enabled and empowered, like all the guardrail, all the stuff that goes with that. Like, is that really necessary? Or what's the right ratio of power users with tool access, with trust, with guardrails, with whatever, to produce the value that needs to be produced, and the rest everybody else can play their proper roles within that environment. Like, who actually needs to be churning out proofs of concept and designing this? And like, does everybody need to be that person, or can some of us be a context layer in that
thin
environment?
ice, Miss Von Bank. Thin ice. No, we're walking on thin ice.
Yes.
Like, we're like walking along here saying, okay, maybe I need an AI COE. And you know what we're going to do? If anyone wants to use AI, they're going to send in a ticket.
Yes.
And then the AI COE is going to be the responsible ones. This is starting to sound very old in a new world. So, and if that happens, we're stupid.
And notice the last thing I just said. Does everybody else need to be part of the context layer? Because the rest of us should absolutely be working in AI-enabled, AI-powered environments. Oh, there's so many rabbit holes here. Where the model is still watching me work and capturing what I'm doing and how that value is being created. So everybody has a role to play. Not everybody needs to be an engineer using the most powerful, expensive tools and token maxing every day. But everybody should be contributing value in this environment, helping to govern, validate outputs. It should be certainly learning from us. AI should be training itself on how we work best, not necessarily us training ourselves on how the models work out of the box.
So, yes, completely agree. This is a huge messaging issue.
Yes.
One of the reasons we're doing this workshop is to try to help people understand that, as well as helping them understand even the difference between deterministic and probabilistic, and how you could have 300 people ask the exact same question and sometimes not get the exact same answer, which, by the way, would be acceptable in human world, but it's not acceptable from a computer. So this is a huge, in my mind, education topic. And as we move along, we talked about last episode, AI is a revolution. Getting us all on board is an evolution. As we move along this evolution, I think this is the stage that a lot of people are at right now.
Yeah. And what you just said, not to be too nerdy here, is really, really important.
You're never nerdy.
Never nerdy. I wrote a Substack on like why we're also using the wrong things in the wrong context sometimes, because there are times when it's okay to ask 300 people a question and get 300 variations of the answer. There are other times where that is absolutely not appropriate. If I say what time it is, there's one correct answer, and getting 300 variations of that answer is not appropriate in that context. Asking if somebody has a certification or a credential to do this job, that is a very black and white deterministic answer. There's only one version of that answer that's appropriate. But there are other times, there are other times where variations of an answer are not only appropriate, but maybe desirable. And how do you guardrail that? And there's so many rabbit holes.
There is a lot here. And, in a session I did earlier in the week, I talked a lot about the term, and I wrote a book about this, weirdly, 7 years ago. And in the title was this concept of frictionless. And I'm worried that if all of a sudden people are starting to think too much, sounds really weird, but starting to think too much about when to use tokens, about which models to use, about what we're about to talk about, privacy, governance, then all of a sudden people aren't going to use. And we're going to end up back in that, okay, I'm falling behind. We're not leveraging capabilities. We're not staying relevant, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why I said this isn't 6-7 for those of you watching on YouTube. This is a thin ice situation we're in right now. Very, very thin ice, because we're about to go in the precipice of either I figured this out as an organization, which kudos to the organization I'm with, or I didn't, and we're falling behind.
Yeah.
Which gets us into this next discussion topic that we wanted to have about privacy. And I don't know, we go back and forth and text and Slack and blah, 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 blah about things that we're going to talk about. And I don't know, sometime over the weekend, maybe while you were at Rush, all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're going to talk about data privacy. And I looked at my phone and I was like, what? We're going to talk about data privacy? So something must have spurred this idea.
Yes. It was a headline last week. It's granola on Apple Watch. What do we think about this?
Granola? No, granola on Apple Watch.
Okay.
Like, I love granola on my Apple oatmeal every morning. Like, you are such a nerd that half the people have no idea what you're even talking about.
Okay, so let's break this down. Everyone probably has seen, experienced, or even is an active user of a note-taking app. True or false? Everybody, like, you're listening, you're watching, just true or false. We understand what note takers
Does a piece of paper count?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Like, most of the meeting technology you use probably has it embedded. The difference here is that most of the meeting technology, whether it's Zoom or anything else, has to ask permission to be present. And there's a little bit of a notification that happens. Like, is everybody okay? We can see them in our
Are we supposed to read that before we click OK?
I don't know. But there is like a notification and an authorization, and we're aware of their presence. Most meeting technology has this embedded, and we have to kind of like be okay with it, and we're aware of it. Like, it's visual. We can, afterwards we can share the transcript, share the meeting notes. Like, it's a little bit. There's an awareness built in. Granola is also a meeting recorder, but unlike those examples, mine is probably running in the background. I didn't okay it. I didn't ask you if you were okay with it. You can't tell if it's running or not in my background. You might also have it running. So that's a big difference in my mind, and why I said we have to talk about data privacy. The slippery slope between capturing data that's useful, helpful to an outcome, totally relevant, the slippery slope between that and, wow, doesn't this kind of feel like surveillance? And should I have asked you for permission to record this? When you think about a note taker being on your watch and all I have to do, think about how incredibly helpful this could be. I'm having lunch with a client and I just tap my watch to say, capture this meeting and remind me after what we agreed on, what my follow-ups are, draft a quick follow-up email. Like, how incredibly useful, right?
Yes. For those of you watching on YouTube or whatever, here's my granola app. I click on Start Granola. It says, let people know you're using granola.
Do you ever do that?
And then it's recording.
Yeah. So I think, let's start here.
Did you want me to answer the question before you move on?
Yeah.
Do I ever do that?
Yeah.
I use my judgment to decide whether I do that or not. It's not a all on yes or an all on no. And just for those of you that are like, oh, this is why I don't wear an Apple Watch, or this is why I don't use granola. Jess, you saw what I sent you this morning, which was a new ring.
Oh my gosh, lost my mind over that. Yeah,
and I do have a friend in the bio space that has developed contact lenses that do the same thing. So the issue isn't the device. The issue isn't whether it's something on our body. That necklace you're wearing could be the same thing. It doesn't. That's not the discussion topic. The discussion, I don't believe, the discussion topic needs to be: do we owe humans I'm going to get in trouble. This is where the yeah, but comes in. Do we owe humans the acknowledgement that we are recording, listening? Is there a difference between recording and listening?
Mm-hmm. Yes. To me, that's storage.
See, I'm already stuck. I'm already stuck. And this is why we're discussing this.
So, yes. I think there's a lot of implicit and explicit trust that goes into this. is it okay if I record this meeting, but don't store the data? That's a way different conversation. Like, do you want me to record this meeting for you so I can give you notes, to-dos, and a follow-up email? And then we trash the transcript, or the recording is gone. It's not stored anywhere. Or is it okay if some external technology records all of your company meetings? Like, that's a lot of business intelligence, competitive intelligence that we're just handing over the keys to. To me, that's like a slightly different conversation. When it comes to, let's take the wearables example. If you're using wearables that help you manage your health, so your blood pressure data, your sleep data, your any biometric data your body might be throwing off, that's helpful to you if you can trust that you have access to that information for reasons that you might want to manage. I want to make a doctor's appointment. I want to fix my nutrition. I want to do this. But if you're trusting that data to whoever makes the device and they retain the ability to resell that data so that people can make products to then target you with ads. So yes, this is a massive conversation that we will never do justice to in just 1 hour. But I think there's a big difference between making something helpful and relevant to me so that I can do something useful with it, and that data being stored, managed, resold, used as advertisement, used to create an artificial sense of intimacy with me so that something else can happen for somebody else's value or benefit. That's advertising and, like, I go all of those places in my mind when I see these.
But let's go back to trust.
Yeah.
Because I think that might be the unlock here. Because, let's say you're with your spouse or your partner in an intimate situation. Like, are we going to scan them to make sure they have no recording devices on? That's weird that I even brought that up, but something to think about. We can then take it into Watergate. Some people have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'll never forget hearing like the grainy tape that someone brought the tape recorder into a room and had it in their pocket while Nixon was talking, to reporters today who constantly ask you and I, or probably people who are much more important, is this on the record or off the record? Like, I'm just trying to play out, is this any different than as someone who teaches, I used to have people that brought a tape recorder in to record the class. Like, should I be asking every one of my students now, are you recording this? It's just a fascinating thing. Is it really that different, or is it the same, just different? That made a lot of sense.
So I have a Alexa in my kitchen, probably here, like my kids have the little dots in their bedrooms. We share playlists and stuff. If, and I actually do believe, oh my God, like, we're going to get into conspiracy theories here. Because I work from home and it's right there, can hear it. Unless I don't mute my device. Maybe there are some people listening who mute their devices throughout their house so that microphone is not always active. I have this like portal thing that my mom gave us all for Christmas, so we could.
You have things listening to you that you don't even know what they are.
I absolutely do. And I'm trying to see if the camera is covered. Like, so some people cover their cameras, mute their devices. Some people are like very particular about this. I don't take all those precautions about covering my laptop camera in case it would accidentally be active when I don't intend it to be, or muting my devices. If I suddenly started getting targeted ads from Amazon, who owns Alexa, with stuff that they couldn't possibly know about me, but they do. And I actually just said that in my kitchen 2 hours ago. So why am I getting this like highly personalized targeted ad right now? Wouldn't that start to make you feel uneasy? That data you didn't know was being collected or used is now coming back to you in a way that you didn't authorize. I think that's some of the concern of data privacy advocates, that it's fine if it's like my own stuff, like a meeting transcript, is being used in a way that I find value in, that's actually reminding me of follow-ups I didn't have to capture myself. But when somebody else has unauthorized access, is actually keeping and storing data, didn't know you were doing that. You don't need to keep that. Why are you retaining that? Like, and for what? And can you resell it? And how do I know you're managing it securely and all of those things? And when the value is being used for somebody other than me, somebody's now trying to extract more data about me for their own uses, or trying to sell me something or sell somebody else something based on what you now are able to collect from me. Anthropic, of course, had to pay out several $1 billion for scraping everybody's books and using that content to train their models, to no value or profit to the authors of that IP. So we're already seeing this play out in the public sphere, and I think we're going to have answers to it. And unfortunately, I think we're going to over-index on it by having to ask for permission and over-authorizing and all the T's and C's everybody's going to have to sign off on. We're probably going to over-index on this a little bit until we figure out what the right way is.
Well, and just a question, and just to play devil's advocate, yeah, but like, or do we just trust fall? Do we not? And do we get all of the value? Like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if my doctor remembered who I was next time, so they didn't have to ask me again what prescriptions I was taking? Like, duh. Or wouldn't it be nice if all of a sudden, like, the next time I go meet with a client or I talk to you, I know exactly what I was supposed to talk to you about next time. I don't waste 15 minutes on stuff trying to remember that stuff. I mean, or you have people with dementia that are using this technology as a way to bring back sparks of thought that maybe they didn't have before. So, like, just like, sorry, that was like a bad goat noise. But I mean, you can over-index towards governance, or you could go the other way, which is just don't govern at all. And I don't know the right answer, but what I don't think is the right answer is that we waste an amazing technology. Like, we've been talking forever, Jess, about human capital. And, when human capital leaves, look at all the knowledge they walk out the door with. Like, could you imagine if they didn't actually walk out they left, but their knowledge stayed to a degree? And once again, we could even go down this rabbit hole of the pros and cons of this. But that tacit knowledge, like, it's crazy. Like, sorry, my brain was exploding internally. But I think that I do worry, as you said, that we're going to over index it. It is going to become friction. People are going to say, well, we're not going to do anything until we figure that out. We never figure it out. And then we waste the opportunity.
I want to agree with you. I do. To say, sure, yeah, let's trust fall, or we're going to waste the moment, would be to agree or sort of be okay with the fact that big corporations have individual interests at mind and will always protect us if pushed to a point. Like, when it comes to profit versus protecting people, I already know who wins in that equation.
Yes.
There do need to be some protections to say, if there ever comes a fork in the road and protection of people and rights and security and like, I won't sell your user data. Like, clearly we haven't said that to date. And so clearly, I mean, that's why, and not to use Anthropic as an example, it's just a really easy one, because they literally paid out and said, shit, we screwed up. We stole all your books and we used them to train our models. We shouldn't have done that, and we'll recompense that. So we're already seeing examples where we're asking these questions in real time, and we're saying, actually, we should pay people for their original ideas if we're going to repurpose, republish, resell their data as our own through our models. So we do have to ask these questions, and we do have to say, this is where we have to protect people or recognize the value of people. And if we're going to use that for our own profit, make sure they profit too. Let's say, Jason, you put a model underneath everything I do every single day for work. And you said, Jess, I want to replace you in a year. Work here. Do everything you do to the highest value, highest impact possible. Literally train this model to take your job. And we both agree. That is a good and worthy goal. And we're kind of asking people to do this, Jason. And I'm not even a conspiracy theorist about this. We're literally asking people to train models on the way they do the functions of their job. And then we're riffing them. Do we not see a little bit of thread through this?
Yeah, no, we do. And I mean, not only are we recording or keeping track of their conversations, now we're watching what they push on their computer. We're recording their screen. And
so let's just be upfront and transparent about that and do the yes and. Let's do that because we think we can do this better in a more automated, intelligent, system design sort of way. And I'm still going to make sure that I recognize Jess value she contributed. I could use her for something else. So we're going to do that next. Let's just have this open, transparent conversation about recognizing and rewarding human value and contribution where it's due, and making sure that we have people's backs at the end of the day, that we're not just sort of extracting for corporate profit and value without taking care of people. That's my biggest concern in this whole, even data privacy conversation.
Yeah, and I think that it's going to be an ongoing discussion. I think that we have to, we have to get used to, and we may change the word, but governance. And what is it? And that governance isn't a bad thing. I mean, the way that I've been describing it lately is like stoplights and walk signs. They're there to keep us safe. They're when stoplights were put in, they weren't put in to slow us down. They were put in to keep the traffic moving.
Right.
And make sure that there weren't any accidents. That's what governance is more like than it's the way a lot of people hear governance, oh, slow down. Oh, it's like the police, et cetera, et cetera. I think there's going to have to be an upfront, honest conversation about governance. And by the way, just really quick, there's no company that I've been to yet that said, don't take off your Apple Watch at the door.
Yeah.
Just like there's no company I've been to that said, or very few, not one I've been to, who says, don't bring your phone in. So this is already happening. Even if even IT says we can't use that technology, dude, you got an Apple Watch on, or you've got contact lenses in. So we should be having this conversation, which I'm glad I am. I'm glad we are today, not in the future.
I'm going to push this a little bit.
Is this a but or just a push?
It is. I'm just going to push us into some murky territory here. If you took a job with a new company and they said, welcome, Jason, we're so glad to have you. Just a few requirements. First of all, you have to wear this device. We have to know how much insurance premium for your health insurance. So we kind of have to know about your lifestyle, your habit, your health, your medical history, your family history. That's going to determine how costly you are as an employee to maintain you and insure you and stuff. You also have to turn on a recorder for absolutely everything you do, because it's the only way to know how you work best. We hope we can serve you a better workforce experience, but also we don't want to lose any of the tacit knowledge. And if you figure out a better way to do something, we want to use that data to train other people. So just make sure full surveillance, full wearables, full surveillance. We promise it serves you best, but it also helps us run more profitably. Are you okay with that? Is this the murky territory we're entering?
Well, no. And as you were saying that, every one of those questions that you just asked me would be how I manage agents, AI agents.
Yes.
So the question is, have we reached singularity?
Mm.
And are we going to accept singularity? Have we reached singularity? That's a big word for me. Have we reached singularity, and are we going to accept singularity where we treat people and machines the same? And people and machines are capable of the same thing.
Yeah. I'll go the other way. So when I was 19 years old, I studied abroad. That was pre-smartphones.
Which broad did you study?
Oh my
God. That was like a little bit of Scott Galloway right there, wasn't it?
That was good. That was a good Scott Galloway moment. And now I have to be Kara Swisher and be like, oh my God, Scott, shut up. I'm making a point.
Go ahead. You studied abroad.
When I was 19, I studied abroad. I was in England, and I had lots of time to travel. I backpacked 9 countries during my semester abroad. I had no smartphone. I think I had like a paper book with like maps in it for every country I went to. I probably had a college email address. I certainly didn't use it to check in with my parents. They never knew where I was at any given time. I had no technology to help me navigate. I literally had travel offices, visitor centers, paper maps, and I did it. And it was amazing. I actually wish I could repeat a trip like that, like totally without technology. Today, Jason, do you think most people know what Life 360 is?
Yes.
There is not a second of the day I don't know exactly where my kids are to the GPS coordinate, whether or not they're moving. If Ainsley's in a car, I can tell how fast that car is going. If she's driving, I can tell whether she picks up her device or not. If I fall asleep before she's home, before she's in for the night, I don't get up and run to her bedroom to see if she's home yet. I check my phone. Oh, good, she's home. That is the level of surveillance technology we are apparently okay with if we find it helpful and useful. So we are okay with a high degree. We are willing to give up a lot of information about ourselves if it's helpful to our lives. That's the flip side of that.
What if, last thing, and then we have to move on.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about this for forever, which we will.
This is a big topic.
Yeah.
And it's going to get...
Please, on LinkedIn, on hello@nowtonext.ai, send your comments when you listen to this part, because I'd love to know what you guys are thinking right now. Because this is where I miss the audience part of what we do on Fridays. But when you think about what you just said, you remember when you said, what if there was a model that was underneath you that was recording everything that you did?
Yeah.
What if instead of paying you an hourly rate or a salary, I paid you for everything that you did, because the model was able to see not only what you were doing, but the value that you created. I'm sorry?
In a heartbeat.
And then it was an even exchange.
Yes.
Where all of a sudden I don't feel like I'm giving something away for X dollars, but I'm being incentivized to do this, and I'm getting paid based on the value I'm creating.
That is the one and only reason I am doing this work with you. When I saw AI, when I saw what AI could do for this timeline of history, the exponential value we can create for people, the fact that I can multiply my own value. When I think of, there isn't much in this world that can literally level the playing field for people who are disadvantaged, who live in a part of the world, in a socioeconomic status, in a gender, in an industry. There isn't that much we can do without a lot of manual effort and time to truly level the playing field, except AI. When I switched to Claude, a very simple thing, when I was using ChatGPT for everything, and I was like, I really got to get on this Claude business and see if it's actually better. The first thing I did was train Claude on me, not me learning Claude. Claude, you learn me right now. Here's what I know. Here's how I think. Here's my background. Here's everything I bring to the table. I literally built out my Claude brain so that it could multiply everything that I do and know. That's the right way to think about it, by the way, for those of you listening. Don't train yourself on how models work. I mean, yes, but that's not the point. The point is to get them to learn you and then to multiply and amplify what you're able to contribute, do, produce. And if we can make sure people actually get recognized and rewarded and valued for that multiplying effect, that's the goal. That is the literal goal. And that's why protections are important in this. Otherwise, we're going to extract all that value for corporate profit, which would be a miss. Like, let's make people better. Let's make the world, society, people better through this, because we can. And why wouldn't we? That's a point of view, I guess, about the world. We can. So why wouldn't we? I think that is the biggest moment of this entire conversation.
Yeah, I love that. And by the way, I've been wondering why you agreed to do this with me for a long time. I'll just close quotes at the end of that. Thank you for stating that publicly. Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said, which makes me which is why I want to fight for the responsible, ethical, correct use of this technology. And it's not just taking it and applying it to how we think today. It might mean we have to think a little different in the future, or a lot different.
Yeah. And this is where, and I do think this whole data privacy, and next week, hopefully, or one episode soon, we really have to talk about voice.
Well, so let's just really quick. The last signal, voice. So voice is I've been, as you know, high on voice before. For a long time. Yeah. Now, I've been high on voice since Dragon Dictator. Do you remember that thing? Dragon, Mabel Lewis, or I got it all wrong. But when you used to be able to talk instead of type, I had a typing teacher, Virginia Roden, in 5th grade.
Wow.
Or 6th grade, who or maybe 7th, drove me absolutely crazy. Like, literally. And we sat there on typewriters and how many words per minute and stuff like that. And I was chubby, like fat fingers. I still do. And I was not as good as everyone else. I was like, oh my God, I have so many like good ideas in my head. And I feel like they're blocked because of my fat ass fingers.
Yeah.
And being able to type. And I've, for 20 some years, 30 years, wanted to be able to express myself in voice, but like the tapes weren't long enough, or there was no good way to do it, or you had to wear like a goofy ass headset, or all kinds of barriers. Yeah. And now we're to this point where the power of the spoken word is closer to what a human actually thinks than what they can type. Now, that was a broad stroke. Yeah. So I realize some people are better at expressing themselves on the keyboard than they are talking. Even though it's like hard for me as an outsider who's not like that to imagine. But I think, and I know, and you already see this. Sorry, just one, I'm rambling, Jess, but like you can tell I like voice. Like we're watching machine. Like if anyone has a Mac Mini, Mac Minis come without screens, mooses, or keyboards. It's just a thing. And why? Because I already have a thing right here, like on my wrist, or I already have a thing in my contact lens, or I already have a thing here that can connect to it. I don't need all these different inputs to be able to communicate with machines in a way that's natural. And I totally, I know. I shouldn't say anything. I totally think that's where we're going.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, and it's not just the speed of talking versus typing. Obviously, it's faster and easier for some people, depending on the most natural, native way you communicate. It's also the other thing I wrote a little bit about Substack on yesterday, and I didn't feel like I did that enough justice either. It's the idea of cow paths. Like, Like not necessarily paving roads where you think they should go, but like literally just follow like what people. So the other thing about voice is that I'm
Why
not.
do you have to? By the way, I love that Substack. And
Yeah.
why do you have to bring cows into it? Like,
Because the paths already exist. People already work the way they work. They already know how to get to the
I'm just saying you're a farm girl. Like, it's the same thing when I cut across the path here to get to the office building. You can tell
grass
that
paths.
there's grass that's been put in place, and it's like matted down because people walk on it.
Yes.
It's not just cows.
So if you suddenly paved a sidewalk and said, kids, walk to school this way, that's where the sidewalk is, but there's a grass path beaten in the way.
Why are you picking on cows? Sorry, go ahead.
You get the idea. When you ask, so I'm going to use my mom as an example here. She was a career nurse and she did a lot of charting. She would go see a patient, administer their medications, take their vitals, and then she'd have to go back and chart everything. And this was a very handwritten process, but at least it was a little bit organic. She could write all kinds of notes that made sense to her, and hopefully it translated to the next shift nurse or to the provider when the doctor did their rounds. Imagine if she had to if you had to force her into a bunch of forms and fields and pre-scripted questions, but you didn't even ask me the thing that really mattered. If you could capture her voice for 5 minutes after a patient visit, imagine how rich that would be. All of the things that you could pull out of there, instead of making her fill out, like, number one, hand chart it, number two, electronically, form chart it into a bunch of fields that, you asked me for a bunch of stuff that isn't really relevant here. We didn't actually get it's that idea. Just ask me, just let me talk. And then you pull out what's meaningful and relevant and store it and remind me the next time and pass that on. Or the next time I do this thing, bring that back. That's context that really matters here. That's why I think voice is so, it's ambient, number one. It captures stuff that would otherwise not easily be captured, but could be incredibly valuable. And back to data privacy. So if we're just capturing all of the particles in the air that could be useful and relevant at some point, we have to say yes to all of the particles in the air being So think of meta glasses, another great example. Are we okay with everything just being recorded? We don't know for what. Maybe for something useful. We don't know what other parties are going to have access to this. We have to say yes to so much to get to some of the real gold that could be captured. And where are we not okay with that?
Yep. No, exactly. And, just for those hobbyists, if you've never heard of a tool called Bland, Bland is a voice model. And we'll go ahead and put in the show notes, but it's bland.ai. And, for those geeks like me, last night I went on Bland AI. They have a brand new model where you record 15 minutes of you talking, and literally it would take your whole book and read it, and it sounds exactly like you. It's crazy.
Wild.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. But I will say that, Jess, I talk about oh shit moments, and I always pay homage to Steve Farber, who, by the way, is coming out with a new book. I don't know if you saw that.
Ooh, I haven't seen.
Coming out with a new book. My oh shit moment is one of our most successful products, our Listen product, when all of a sudden, instead of doing a Likert scale with people, we're actually listening to people and capturing the power of the spoken word instead of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and gathering quotes, gathering feelings, et cetera, et cetera. It was literally an oh shit moment to me where I was like, oh my gosh, the power of this is so much more. And you can then prescribe and act in ways you've never been able to. Once again, could this be used for nefarious purposes? Is this a data privacy thing? Is governance needed? Yes, 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 yes. Does this have the ability to change the world in ways that we talked about from an exponential, not just incremental way? The reason we're doing this? Yes, 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 yes.
And there are some things as we continue to beta test this technology for reasons that we think are incredibly valuable and our clients agree, like even we're putting some pretty upfront stuff, and we'll continue to refine this, but some pretty upfront stuff that says this is autonomous. We're not storing this data, like even this data retention. We're not storing this data. We don't want it long term, or we're only storing it in this way for this purpose. And it's completely like triple anonymized or whatever. Like even we're playing with what we need to say up front to create that, I'll use like a clinical psychology term, that container, like to create the psychological safety to allow somebody to enter that environment in a way that they go, okay, I'll talk to this thing. Like it is such an art and science and red line territory to say, we're going to do this. We're not going to do this. You should be okay with this. You should ask us this. You should, like we're going to scrub this. We're going to keep this because it's useful and it's super safe also. Like even that sort of red line territory of how we go about this, organizations are going to have to solve for that really, really fast.
Jess, this is about as long as people walk on a treadmill or can run before we stop. Okay. And I have to be cognizant of that because I realize we could do this forever. But
I know.
Just for everyone listening, we purposefully imagine how many tokens we burned. Our human tokens, coming up with a name for this podcast, called it The Edge on purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. And I really think that this episode is a great example of the edge, because what we're talking about might be things you're starting to see. They might, or probably not, but you're going to really, really quickly, like within weeks or months.
Yeah.
So like everything we talked about, I feel like, oh my God, they're talking about stuff we're never going to experience. Like This is a great example of the edge of right now.
Yep. Agree. Oh, I could geek out on this all day long. So we digress and we stop here.
So what are we supposed to say? Thanks to our sponsors. Oh yeah, we don't have one. By the way, I got
You probably got somebody else.
I got a bunch of people asking if they could sponsor. I was like, no, I just said that for fun because I think it's funny how people sponsor podcasts, or excuse me, how people say that. But then the second thing is please pass this on. Please subscribe, like, blah, 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 whatever else you're supposed to do.
Rate us, review us.
And most important, it's sharing.
Yeah.
Because this is a social learning moment. It's a magical, magical moment to be alive. And I hope that the time that we take to put this together doesn't just value you, but you can commit to at least passing it on to one person that might find value from it as well.
Yeah, agree.
Have a great weekend, everyone, and look forward to talking next week. Thanks, Jess.
Thanks, Jess.